What's up, guys? Welcome to the Resellers Podcast with Tech and Sports and Daily Refinement. Today, we're going to talk about doing eBay the easy way. And this coming from a guy who's done eBay the hard way for many, many years and talking to the guy who's been doing it the easy way for over a decade. So this should be a really good conversation. And, we'll start it off with what you mentioned before the chat, which was I am way busier than before because I hang out with my kid. We have a newborn. I'm done earlier. And yet my store is triple as big as when I first started talking to you. So the store is 3 times as big, but I'm working less. And your thoughts of kicking ass for 5 hours? If you kick ass for 5 hours, you can take the rest of the day off. Let's just start there.
Yeah, that's very true. If you can really focus all of your energy in a sprint of 4 or 5 hours, however long it takes for your business. If you're listing 20 per day, it's not going to be a 5 hour sprint. It's going to be a slower sprint. But for us, the other day, I listed 250 items in 5 hours.
Yep.
So that was just computer work only, no photos, but still, it was listing 50 per hour. So hour number one, fine. Hour number two, fine. But hour 3, 4, and 5 of heavy duty focus to continue the pace of 50 per hour, that's when you really have to kick a lot of ass during that portion. Everybody can kick ass for 30 minutes. There's no problem with that. But you have to be able to maintain the same amount of speed and wherewithal to get your work done throughout that portion. And when you do it, you could be done for the rest of the day. Isaiah just made a post today. Mr. Done at 1 o'clock in the morning. He finished today at 1:30 in the afternoon. Why? Because he woke up today and he decided he was going to kick ass today and get his work done and be done for the day. Now he's done for the day and he has no idea what to do for himself.
He's done 12 hours earlier than normal.
12 hours earlier is normal. And today is the same amount of work as the day before. So for you, you've grown your store 3 times since November, since we started this. You're up like $7,000 per week in sales, many more orders, many more listings, the same group. You have a kid now and you have more time. How is that? Because you threw out all the extra steps that you used to do that you thought mattered but don't matter. And now you're doing it the easy way, the way that I've been doing it for 12, 13 years, every single day. So that's the difference. A lot of people do a lot of things that do not matter. They don't matter. You thought photo editing mattered. You thought maybe a mannequin or maybe hanging up mattered. You thought all of this extra stuff, editing photos, mattered. Your sales are up. It does not matter.
Also, I know that the differentiation was I was focused on trying to make things faster, improve things versus just eliminate them. What is faster than just getting rid of something that doesn't serve a purpose in the process? And that's really the main difference. I'm working less hours, but the hours that I'm working are full. There more stuff happens during those hours because there's less steps. So if you do 10 steps, because even just 3 months ago, I texted you. I said my process was still like 16 steps longer than yours, and we do the same thing.
Right.
So why do I have 16 steps longer?
Right.
Because you just don't count all those little things that along the way that add up, and you need to start thinking about eliminating things, not optimizing. Most of the things you do during the day, you can just eliminate.
Right. Because if you have a totally optimized 16 extra steps in your workflow than me, you were probably optimized to a T. It was probably beautiful. But there's no way that my 4-step process, you could do a 20-step process and be faster. There's no way. There's no way. And we have a bunch of people in the group, a bunch of people that listen to the podcast. Nobody has come and say, there's another way that's faster. Nobody.
And it's the same for every category. Like
every category.
Now that my death pile is almost gone now, but shoes, I had beer signs. It's actually the same.
It's the same.
You just take all the pictures first, sit down at your computer, list all the way through, put everything away in that order.
That's it.
And unfortunately, like we got to pick on Eduardo a little bit, who keeps asking if it's more complicated than that. And he's looking for any answer except for what I just said.
It's not. And you struggled with that
I did.
for maybe the longest time.
Yeah.
I've been talking to you going on 6 or 7 years. And for some reason, you thought it was more complicated than it had to be. But it's very straightforward. It's a 4-step process. You get your items photographed, you get your items listed, you put them away, and you ship everything that's sold. That is all you have to do in order to run an eBay business. That's it.
I know. We were
You
talking
don't
about
have to do anything else.
today we were kind of brainstorming because people were talking about live events and what would we do. And we think that if we did a live event, you would just come, list 25 items, have lunch, and go home. And
Yeah,
you've probably never done that before. Most people have probably never listed 25 items before lunch before.
totally, man. Like it would be very underwhelming, but that's what this is. Like nothing that I do is fancy, nothing that I do is special. None
Yeah.
of it is crazy. And for you, you've tried everything,
Mm-hmm.
but this way is boring. It's the same thing every single day. And when it's the same thing every single day, nothing breaks, nothing goes sideways. It's very straightforward because when you have all of those other moving parts, like for one, airdropping photos,
Yeah.
like you've probably spent 1,000 hours on the airdropping photos process. And
Mhm.
once you have it fixed, a couple months later it breaks because maybe there's an update on the computer, maybe there's an update on the phone, maybe they come out of order, maybe they come out sideways, and then you have to spend time rotating all of your photos. It's just all of those tiny things day in and day out. That's the tedious stuff that wears on you. For me, nothing wears on me because it's mechanical. Take photos, list, put it away. There's no nuances in the process that is going to be so tedious that's going to wear me down day in and day out. To bash my head against the keyboard because my photo, my airdrop doesn't work today when it worked yesterday and I did nothing differently. How do you go on with your day when that goes sideways? How do you get the pictures off of your phone to the computer when you've done it 100 times, but today it's not working?
And I also, okay, there's a couple major things that happened. Last episode, we ended on my thought that something always happens. You can't, there's no weeks that go by that you don't have a doctor's appointment, your kid needs something, there's some kind of an emergency, you need to go do something. There's no smooth sailing week where all you have is uninterrupted time to do work. That doesn't exist. And when you grow, there's actually way more problems. So people always say it's easy for you because you have 2 people helping you. But here's something I want people to realize. When you have employees, their problems are now your problems. If they can't get to work on time, that's your problem. My lady that came in and take photography, I knew something was wrong because she was acting different. Her energy level was different, and she was saying she was having problems with her boyfriend. Now I'm having problems with her boyfriend. All of that adds up, and you just have to take into account as you get better. You need to get faster so you have time to deal with this. And your thought of doing 7 days of work in 5 days is really important for people to think about, because I essentially have to do 7 days of work in 4 days, because on Wednesday we record this podcast and I source in the morning. And as soon as I'm done sourcing, I ship. That's a full day already. So I have to be really focused and productive to get the rest of the stuff done. And I think that thought of doing more work in less time is different than thinking you're smart and skipping a step.
It's not even more work in less time. It's just having an attainable listing goal that you can knock out in 5 days instead of 7 days. So for me, I want to get 250 listings up. That's the quota. So we do X amount per day in order to do that in 5 days instead of 7. So for you, you want to get X amount up. In order to do X amount 7 days a week, but only work 4 days a week, you got to do the math and you got to say, this is what we got to do every single day. Same thing. If you're doing 10 per day and you want to do 7 days of work in 5 days, then what? You do something like 12 or 14 per day. The 2, the 4, the extra over the 10 goes into the bank. And then on Saturday or Sunday, you list your drafts from your draft bank that you did 7 days of work in 5 days. And that gives you the weekends off from eBay. eBay no longer is a 365 day a year grind, 24 hours per day. It also allows you to, when things do happen, like the kid has an emergency, you got to go pick up the kid from school, you know, your parents have an issue, or your worker didn't come in. You have that safety net. So if your worker has a problem and she don't come in, it's no problem because you have 1,000 items in the draft that you can pull from. And today you mark down as a loss. Today was a bad day, but we're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to get everything situated and we're going to replace those drafts that we built up. It's the same thing. If you do 5 days worth of work in 7 days, or 7 days worth of work in 5 days, that allows you so much more freedom and flexibility. But when you have a daily listing goal that you have to meet 7 days out of 7 days and things go sideways, that's when people fall off. And it's already hard enough to be consistent day in and day out, 365 days per year. There's not a lot of people that could do that. Things happen. People are people. So if you can give yourself the safety net, yeah, you have to work a little bit extra harder. But while you're in the groove, going from 20 your quota, but doing 25 every single day, that 5 every day is not going to kill you. And that's going to afford you a day off when you need it or the weekends off if you so choose. So that is very, very, very important. And it's something that not a lot of people think about, but that's a philosophy that we've done in the group where a lot of people are having better quality of life because eBay is not the grind anymore. There's people who are taking 2-week vacations because they've built up the draft. Mm-hmm. So for you, you have 1,000 drafts. If you wanted to, Monday through Friday, the workers could come in. They can replace everything that you launch. Essentially, you can work 1 week a month because those 1,000 drafts will get launched on Saturday and Sunday. And every 4th week, you come back and you come to work. That's how glorious a draft bank is. And that's how much freedom it gives you, where you're able to pick your schedule when before eBay picks the schedule for you.
Aaron in the chat is saying that he lost his top rated status because of family issues and not being prepared. But it's kind of like your insurance policy. If you have 2 weeks of drafts, you can now, it's like paid vacation, kind of. You can, sure. If something happens, you can take time off and your store continues. Some people have been asking, why not just launch them all at once? Some people, and we hear that, but we know that eBay likes an active store. That's the main reason why you wouldn't just launch them as you make them.
Totally, because we have Lewis in the group who he does liquidation. He used to list quarterly whenever he used to order his liquidation. And now he's spread out the same amount of listings daily that he was doing 4 times per year. And he's up something crazy, like thousands of %. It's the same exact inventory going up, the same quantity of inventory going up. But for whatever reason, listing daily versus listing quarterly, he's up thousands of %. So for whatever reason, eBay does want you to list daily. So that's why that makes it even more important to have that safety net. So when something does come up, you don't miss a beat. Your store doesn't miss a beat. Because if you miss 1 day, it's easy to miss 2. You miss 2, it's easy to miss 3. So as long as you have those drafts going up, anything going up, you didn't miss a day, you can bounce back tomorrow. And that's doing it the easy way. Doing it the hard way is when things come up and it totally screws you up. It totally screws up your store. You're not able to ship stuff out to customers and you get a bunch of defects and you lose top rated. Not being top rated is doing eBay the hard way.
That's right. And I want to, everyone should maybe pause the video right now if you're listening at home and write this down, which is one of the biggest hacks that you do, that you reiterate this every week, is having a number to shoot for. Having a number to shoot for is the easy way, because then you can wrap your mind around, my goal is 15, my goal is 10, my goal is 5. You figure out how long that takes. And then when you have an idea of how long it takes, you can start figuring out how to do it faster or rearranging your day so you can do it. There's people in the group that only list on Saturday. They spread it out throughout the week. There's people who can only list after 9 p.m. Unless you have that number, you have to pick a number first and then you can adjust.
If you don't have a number, you don't know what you're doing tomorrow. So Chris, you don't have a number. How many items do you need to find at the thrift?
No idea.
I don't know. So what are you doing? If you don't have a number, you don't know how many items you need to find. You don't know how much time you need to allocate for sourcing. You don't know how much time you need to allocate for photos, for listing, for put away. But if you have the same number day in and day out as your quota, that will allow you to pick a schedule. And if you don't have a schedule, that's the number one thing that we talk about in the group, having a schedule and being consistent. If you don't have a number, you cannot be consistent. If you don't have a number, you cannot have a schedule. I can give you my schedule down to the minute because I have a number every single day. You know what you're going to be doing tomorrow at 11:17 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
because you have a number, you have a system, you have a schedule, and you have something to shoot for. But if you have no number, what are you doing tomorrow at 11:17 a.m.?
I know. Also, I want to point out that this system that eBay came up with applies to real life. If you show up for date night every Friday night, 51 weeks a year, and one day you can't because your business is broken and you need to go fix it, it's all right because you're killing it. You're top rated as husband, right? So you've got to do this with every single part of your life. That way, once in a while, you can have a cupcake and it doesn't affect your health. You just have to be most of the time with a number in mind because that really, really does help in everything. If most of the time or 99% of the time you do something, it applies to everything. I think people in the group are just starting to realize how this kind of approach affects everything. People are healthier. They're making more money. Everyone is subscribed to the same way. There's no drama.
Never.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no drama. I've never deleted one post or had to reach out to anybody. Um, Everyone has more time. That's the biggest thing. Even though everyone is in grow mode, everyone still has more time.
Yep.
And for people in the group who are in grow mode and they aren't experiencing the summer slowdown because they're being more consistent with their listings, their store is tighter because they're putting up more quality listings with good item specifics, they're not going to experience a summer slowdown. If you don't experience a summer slowdown, then Q4, like, buckle your seatbelt because you're going to have a lovely ride for Q4 because you're putting in the work today to have a successful Q4. And there's no way to have the best Q4 possible if your ducks are not in a row in June, July, August, September. If you have a bunch of stuff that's going on and you're not actively in your store preparing it for the time when the most shoppers are going to be on the platform, then how can you expect to have the best Q4 possible? So like what you're doing, you're advocating people to list 5 and go back in their store and fix 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you need to do today. You cannot do that in November and expect to have the best December possible. You can't do it. You might have the best February possible, but there's not as many shoppers on in February as there are in December.
Mm-hmm.
So if you truly want to take advantage of Q4, and this Q4 may be a historic Q4 because they're giving out the child tax credits from now all the way till December. Maybe people are banking it. Maybe people are going to go out and spend money. You know, maybe Delta comes over here and they give more stimulus. Like, now is the time to take advantage of the cash infusion that they've already given and that they're going to give. But this is a plan we talk about all the time. We talk about this plan. We talk about what to do to be ready. And if you don't have a plan, you will not be successful. So I know between now and December 23rd, I'm going to get up 250 items per day, come hell or high water. There's no way I'm not going to do it. And that will allow me to have the best Q4 possible. If you do the same, that will allow you to have the best Q4 possible. Big store, little store, it doesn't matter. You came out with a pamphlet today on how to do $1,000 a week profit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful pamphlet. If you follow that, it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So for me and you, I do that 33 times. I have 1,000 item store 33 times, and I do the same thing that's on that chart. I just do it at a little bit of a larger scale, but I do the same exact thing. There is no difference between the way that I do it with 33,000 items, you do it with 22,000 items, and someone who lists 10 items per day. It's all done the same. It's the same.
I think that's a good way to look at it because a lot of people are saying my significant other doesn't take me seriously. Here's the thing. If you have a 100 item store and you sell 20 items per month, that's not even one every day. Every other day you sell 2. If you have that kind of a store and somebody can see it work on a small scale and it's clear, like you're just like, I have a 100 item store and I list 20 a month. Or let's just say 30. Let's say you have a 100 item store and you sell 30 a month. So you list 1 per day. If your significant other sees that you have a 100 item store and you sell 1 per day and list 1 per day, you have the smallest version of Reseller Nirvana. I think that less than 100 items, you probably wouldn't get a sale every day. But 100 items, you're doing a good job. You probably would have a sale every day because when you're that small, you're paying attention to every single listing. if you can prove it at 100, it really is the same thing bigger.
It is the same thing bigger. And the way that eBay gives the traffic and the tools that they give you, you can calculate how many sales you're going to have as your store grows bigger if everything stays the same. They give you the click-through rate. They give you the conversion rate. They show you how much traffic they're giving you. So in order to get more traffic, you have to have more items on the platform. If you have a small amount of items, you're not going to get that many impressions. You're not going to get that many page views. But it tells you your click-through rate, so how many people actually click on your item, the percentage, and it tells you the conversion rate, how many people choose to buy your item once they click on it. So if everything stays the same in your store, your click-through and conversion rate should stay the same if all things considered stay the same. If you start listing a bunch of iPhones, that's different. That's not apples to apples comparison. You cannot judge the data on that. But if your 100 item store turns into a 1,000 item store, all things considered the same, you're still picking up Nike, you're still picking up North Face, still picking up Vineyard Vines, you can take the data and you will already know how many sales you're going to get when your store gets to 1,000 items, because everything is going to be linear. It's going to tell you how many page views. It's going to tell you how many people are going to click on your item. It's going to tell you how many people are going to convert. And the higher your conversion rate, eBay has more incentive to send you more traffic. So the conversion rate is the number one piece of data that you need to look at if you want to have a successful eBay store. If you're not converting, why would eBay give you traffic? And why would you not be converting? Bad listing, bad title, bad price, bad item specifics, and you don't have a quality listing. So people are clicking on your listing and they're leaving to buy from somebody else who has a better listing. And if you're not a professional doing this, an overwhelming majority of the listings on eBay have to be not quality listings.
I have a really good analogy for this. So I just had my listing limit increase from 25,000 listings to 50,000 listings because I hit I'm close to the limit. So I asked the eBay representative, how do you guys determine whether or not I can get a limit increase? And he said, well, we have an underwriting team. Okay, so that made me think. Let's say you're buying a house. They say you should have the same income for 2 years. Why is that? Because having the same income for 2 years makes you a more reliable person to pay the loan back. I think if the underwriter is the same for eBay, determining should you get more traffic and should you get more sales, if you've been doing the same category for 2 years, they're probably pretty confident that you can handle those customers. But if you are buying a home and in the last 2 months you made $20,000 a month, that income is not going to count. They don't know if that's going to be forever, if it's a one-time deal. It's the exact same thing with your eBay store. You can't sell 10 PlayStation 5s and expect that traffic to convert over to your used shoe store.
Totally. And probably the data that they look at is going to be your late shipment rate. Because if they give you a bunch of sales and you don't ship them out on time, that's a bad buyer experience. Your late shipment rate is probably going to be 1. Your return rate is probably going to be 2. And then your item not as described is probably going to be the top 3 things that they look at in order to judge if you can handle more traffic or not. Because if you're getting out your items late, or if you're canceling because you're out of stock because you can't find them, or you're making mistakes and the customers are having to return those items, you cannot expect eBay to give you that bump. But if you keep your defects very low, you keep your return rate very low, you keep your mistakes very low, your personal defects very low, and all of your items get shipped out on time, eBay will shovel you more traffic. And that is the trickiest thing about growing your store, is you have to grow your store and you have to shrink your defects. So for you've grown your store like crazy. Your defects has shrunk. If you grew your store like crazy and your defects also went up, you would not be experiencing the same amount of sales volume that you are right now.
No. It's amazing how similar this is to everything. Like your credit worthiness. If you make a bunch of late payments, they don't give you money. You can't get a credit card. If you're late every single time on the monthly payments, they're going to reduce your credit limit. If you don't convert the traffic that eBay gives you and don't do a good job, for sure, if you fall below standard, they
Yeah,
take away your traffic.
sure do. And
So,
also, if you don't list every day, they take away your traffic.
yeah.
There's charts in the group of people who did not list for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
They all of a sudden started listing 5 per day. They listed 5 per day for 2 weeks. That's the same store, ideally, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the same inventory that was in there 3 months ago, the same inventory that's in there today. All they did was add 5 per day. Their chart is night and day. They went from 250,000 impressions to 1 million impressions, quadrupled the impressions just because they had daily activity. Why does eBay want you on the platform? There's a number of reasons. If you send me a question on the item and I decide to get back to you in 10 days, that's not a good buyer experience. How can I close the deal if I get around to getting on eBay 10 days later? Why would they give me the traffic when this guy is never home? I hope one day eBay puts a "I'm home" sign on your listing. Because I'm home, I'm ready to make deals, I'm ready to accept offers, I'm ready to respond to messages immediately, I'm ready to rock and roll. Turn on the green light that says I'm open for business. But if you're closed for business and you have not logged into eBay for a day or 2 days or 3 days, why would they give you a customer that may have a question? Why would they give you a customer that may send an offer and that offer just expires? And what is the customer? They're just left in the dark of, well, I never even heard back. That's not a good customer experience. That's a horrible customer experience. That every time you try to go on eBay, you try to buy stuff and the seller doesn't even acknowledge you.
The I'm home button would be
I'm
amazing.
ready. I'm ready.
I'm home, I'm ready. The button would say that on the listing. Somebody can make an offer and get an answer immediately.
Why would they not do that?
I mean, it's also fun. The customer wouldn't, it would be a better customer experience because you might make an offer on an item where the person's actually home.
Right. So for me, 76% of my sales are either from an offer coming from me or me sending out an offer to the buyer. If 76% of my sales are from an offer, put a green button on my store that says this guy's ready to rock and roll, because that's what most customers are doing. The small majority of customers are buying the item outright. So if eBay knows you're home, eBay knows that you reply to offers quickly, which is something that we talk about day one in the group. Respond to those offers immediately, and that's going to convert more. It's very basic rather than putting it off later, because if you put it off later and then accept, the buyer's going to say, hey man, I went somewhere else and they accepted the offer. So me and you, we have to cancel this one. Or when you accept 8 hours later, the customer is gone. And then that's the same person who goes on Instagram and cries about all these unpaid item cases because the customer's gone. You accepted the offer 8 hours later. How can you expect the customer to be on the computer ready to pay, but you're not on the computer ready to accept the offer?
You know, Aaron put in the chat, how come we don't have days where we sell a ton? So you have 35,000 items. How come you don't have a days where you sell 3,000 of those items?
I know why. Because eBay knows that I cannot fulfill 3,000 items in a day. How can I ship 3,000 items in a day with my current setup? I can't do it. That's the only reason why they don't allow me to sell 3,000 items, because I could fulfill probably, if I busted ass, 500 or 600.
Mm-hmm.
But that still leaves me with 2,500 mad customers. It's not a good buyer experience. That's why eBay boosts you up incrementally and they do it slowly. And that's why we preach in the group, incrementally increase your business. That way everything grows the same and you're able to handle the extra responsibilities. There's no reason in the world why I don't sell 1,000 items per day, other than I don't have the ability to fulfill it, and eBay knows that.
Well, I was just thinking, there's a couple ways to increase the impressions in your store. You could either list more items that would increase the total impressions because you have more hooks in the water, or in theory, you could list items that are more popular, so more people would look at you maybe get more impressions if you did those two things. But that's not all of it. You also have to have the right conversion rate, because if you list a bunch of Gucci items but your price is too high, those won't sell. So you have to have a quality amount of people who come to your store, and they also have to buy at a certain percentage. So there might not be a fast way to grow eBay sales. I think it's only slow and steady.
If they don't cap, tell me why there's still the newest iPhones available on eBay priced under market.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is every iPhone seller not out of stock? Why do they have quantity one in their store? They should have 0 listings in their store.
That's right. We have a gentleman in the group who's selling iPhones.
Yeah.
At below market and not able to sell them because they're hidden.
Right. Absolutely. And
they're hidden because of his location.
Yep. We searched his store. He thought he was at the top. He's not at the top. He's at the top when he looks at his item, right, because eBay put that cookie on his computer. But when we look at his item and we've never seen his item and we search eBay, he's not at the top. So if you sell iPhones under market, why do you even have any items on eBay? You should be totally out of stock. 0 items.
Mm-hmm. This is really interesting. This is so different than other platforms. But with eBay, it's kind of democratic. They spread the traffic around. I guess if I were thinking of, the slow is smooth and smooth is fast, I just can't reiterate how important that is. Because if you just slowly, like Mark in the group, 15 a week, then 16 a week, then 17 a week, there's no injuries that happen to your store. You'll never fall below standard. You'll never not be able to find anything because the incremental increase is so gradual that it just won't affect you. But if you go from 15 listings a day to 30 listings a day, you're not used to putting all that stuff back. You're not used to sourcing that much. You don't have the right space set up. You can now 1 out of your 15 sales a day, you didn't have time to do, so that's late. Yep. But from 15 to 16, it doesn't affect you at all.
No. And the argument against having no cap is people say, like, eBay, they want as much fees as possible, or eBay, they're a public company. They're responsible for making as much money as possible. It's very true. But if eBay had a buy box the way that Amazon did, then I can sell 1,000 items per day, because then it's just strictly based on price. But when it's based on location, when it's based on number of words in the title, keywords, item specifics, your return policy, all the things that the listing quality report takes into play, that's when you're going to see those fluctuations and variations. So until eBay does a buy box, it's going to be super democratic. And maybe that's a good reason too, because if someone comes day one and they list 10 items and they sell 1 item in a week, that retains them on the platform. But if you list 10 items on Amazon and you really don't know what you're doing, you may never sell those items from now until Amazon goes out of business, because you're not priced competitively and you're $50 higher than market. You might still have those items until Amazon goes out of business. So that's the difference in why on Amazon you can sell 1,000 units, but on eBay it's very difficult to sell 1,000 units because their algorithm has many more variables in it, and they tell you all of the variables in the listing quality report. But the variable on Amazon is easy: price. That's it.
That's crazy. So I have to ask you, we had that gentleman reach out to you that does 1,000 sales a day in media. Mm-hmm. He's a top 20 eBay mm-hmm. seller, 1,000 or 30,000 sales a month. Do you think that, how do they get to that stage when they're at that? Is it just the size of the store?
It's basic math, right? In the traffic report, it shows you the percent of time people are going to click on your item and the percent of time people are going to buy it. So if my store was 100,000 items, eBay already tells me the percent of time people are going to click on it and the percent of time people are going to buy it. If all things stay considered the same for media. If you have all DVDs and you have a 2% conversion rate, you're going to sell 2 items with 100 listings. You're going to sell 20 items with 1,000 listings. That's it. That's it. And we catch a lot of heat, but that's why you need a big store, because you will never, never sell out of your 100 items. It ain't happening.
That it's hard. It feels weird to list 100 quality items the right way and never sell out. But they don't, they just, the traffic is not set up that way. It's set up to rotate it. It's set up for you to run a store.
Right.
It's not really set up for you to sell all your things.
And if you notice on the traffic report, the days when your organic sales are lacking, later on in the day, they give you a big promotion organic traffic boost to catch you up to kind of where you need to be. But if your organic traffic is converting heavily that day, your promoted listing traffic isn't as heavy that day. So with promoted listings, they try to catch you up as much as possible. That's what I believe. That's what I've seen on the data. They don't come out and talk to you or tell you that. But I mean, I'm going to sell 250 items today. Like I already know before I wake up, that's how many I'm going to sell because my store is X size, X amount of people view it and X amount of people buy. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and have a 5% conversion rate. It never has happened.
It doesn't work that way because it's your traffic worthiness. They don't deem you worthy to handle those many orders without it falling through the cracks.
That's got to be the only reason, because there's no reason why you have 22,000 items and don't sell 2,000 items. There's no reason. The only reason is that you can't fulfill 200 sales tomorrow. And eBay knows that. That's the only reason. But even the guys who come out and they're selling 1,000 items per day, they didn't come out the gate selling 1,000 items. They built up 50 items, 100 items, 125, 150, all the way to 1,000. They proved to eBay that they scaled up and they can fulfill 1,000 orders. But even so, that same guy, he's not selling 2,000 items tomorrow. Mm-hmm. He's at 1,000 items. This is the way it goes.
Most of those top 20 stores, actually all of them, have more than 100,000 listings.
Absolutely.
That really is just the math. They just
that's all it is, man. It's just the math. So right now you're selling 100 items every single day consistently, right? Mm-hmm. If you go back and do the math backwards, look at your traffic report, you're only selling 100 items because your store grew to the math to make it 100 items per day.
It's exactly the math. It's exactly the math.
Only reason.
So Aaron is saying, even if you sell under cost, because they can control how much traffic they give you. So if you are underpriced at $1 instead of $2, they still need to give you a customer to buy that item. Mm-hmm. And
if you're on page 2, the customer doesn't see it, even though you're under market. And that's why promoted listings, on the flip side, marking down your item does not guarantee you placement. It guarantees you a cheaper price, but it doesn't guarantee you placement. Promoted listings guarantees you placement. So you could be above market, heavily promoted listing, and make the sale. A guy in the group, he just posted that he sells a lot of MacBooks. Why are other people able to sell MacBooks for more expensive than him? And I think the unknown variable is we don't know the promoted listings rate that those more expensive MacBooks are selling for versus his. And especially for MacBooks. MacBooks are very overwhelming to shop. You have to know the difference between an AMD chip, between an Intel chip. You have to know the difference between i7, Retina. You have to know all of these different variables. And customers are not that educated when it comes to computers. So what are customers going to do? They're going to look at the first one, disregard price. This one looks okay. Why was it first? Because it was heavily promoted. The customer doesn't know what they're looking at. The price in their mind is a good price. I'm going to buy it. So promoted listings guarantees you placement. The higher you promote your listings, the more placement you're going to get, the more impressions you're going to get, the more page views you're going to get. But the higher you promote your listings, what goes down? Your conversion rate. Because that's a lot of junk traffic of not people that are necessarily looking for your item. If you don't promote your listings, like Matt has 0 promotions. His conversion rate is sky high because the customer that is looking for his item finds his item and buys his item. Very, very different. And that's the difference between traffic. And that's the difference between category. You can promote your listing on clothes, but a shirt is very easy to shop. MacBooks are not easy to shop for the layman because they don't know the difference of the nuances between chips, between RAM, between solid state hard drives. They don't know the difference. They get overwhelmed. This is a good listing, a good price. It was presented to me first. I'm paying the price. That's why that item sold for more and your item is less and it's still sitting there because that seller promoted that item and got it in front of the buyer.
I have 2 questions for you. One, do you feel like since the amount of sales that you get each day is kind of fixed, so you're going to sell 250 no matter what, does it make sense for you to just price everything at market and hope that they just give you X amount of traffic so you can convert your 250 a day? Or because I know you do something, you also discount aged inventory. So when you do that, when you run that sale, everyone who was watching it gets an email.
Correct. If you mark it down 5% or more, all the watchers get an email that says, hey, this item has been marked down. Check it out. Not only do all the watchers get the email, anybody who viewed it within the last couple of days will also get that email that says this item is on sale. And I think the process of the age inventory markdown goes into the calculation, which allows me to sell on my conversion rate and allows me to sell X amount per day. I think that's all in the stew. That's all in the mix. But if you want to go down a rabbit hole, if you're allowed at X amount of sales per day, is it ever in your best interest to take a lowball offer?
You mean just wait for your sale?
What do you think?
Maybe. I think yeah, you should still take the best offer, but
like
I feel like maybe you just wait until the end of the day. Maybe they give it to you.
Right. Like if someone offers you $4, right? And you're desperate for a sale and you take the $4, that might have been one of your sales for the day. Which had you not took that $4 and your average sale price is $20, will eBay give you that $20 sale?
You're gonna have everyone in the group accepting offers at 11:59 p.m. Because I was thinking about that definitely in the morning because I do feel like being active in the morning, you get a little more action. So are they rewarding that extra activity with you going on in the morning? That's another or boost.
Is your green light on and eBay knows you're home?
Yeah, that's right.
And there's a lot of things that you could do to do activity. We all know the most important one is new listings. You can run promotion sale. You can run a markdown sale. You could do promoted listings. You could do an order discount. You could do a coupon. There's a lot of things that you could do to make your store more active, to get your items in front of more shoppers, to get eBay to email more shoppers and bring you back in. And also, I don't know if you saw this, but when you leave feedback for an item now and you're happy with the item, eBay puts a big thing on your screen and asks you to save the seller.
I saw that.
That's great. It's great for me. I'll take it. And when you do the search bar, it has a selection to search your saved sellers. So the more items that you can sell successfully, eBay is prompting buyers to save the seller so they can come back and shop to you. So like I did an experiment the other day and just searched random usernames. And I would say over 50%, maybe over 60% were repeat shoppers. And it was random 20 usernames. The majority of them were repeat shoppers.
I never asked you this question before, but Aaron is asking, do you think you perfected eBay? And I guess I'll do a follow-up question. Do you think you would do anything can you do anything better in your store?
It's never perfect. I just try to do it the best that I absolutely can. And I think the things that I do work for me. And I think that the things that we talk about in the group, they work for everybody else as well. So I think that I'm pretty good at it. I wouldn't say it's perfected because there's always room to make improvements. But a lot of times when I call the reps tell me I know more about eBay than they do. So I guess take that for what it's worth.
That understanding of the rules Like you said, if you understand the rules the best,
Yeah,
you have a huge advantage.
totally. If you understand how the game is played, then you can always win. And understanding how the game is played is understanding the algorithm, understanding the difference between the search bar results and the left hand navigation results. Those are totally different searches, totally different results. Understanding that difference, understanding traffic, understanding promotions, understanding the niche that you're in, understanding that once you do niche down and become an expert in the niche, understanding that you no longer have to research anything and the research portion of your day is gone, which lets you do what? List more items. And if you list more items, what happens? You have a bigger store, your conversion rate and your click-through rate stay the same, and you're going to sell more items. If your store grows and more people bounce from your listings, your conversion rate is going to go down, and that is going to punish your store, and you're going to have a bigger store with less sales. So there's a lot of things on eBay that you have to do correctly. All of them have to be done correctly. Otherwise, those metrics and that data suffers. And eBay has all of this data that they present to us. They didn't used to do that. This is about 1 year old. And for all the data that they have on us, they have even more data on the buyers. They know what buyers buy an item immediately. They know what buyers send a bunch of offers. They know what buyers looking for deals. They have all the data on the buyers, just like they have all the data on us.
Isaiah says that maybe eBay would reduce your total sales because you're behaving differently. Maybe you would take that offer normally, but this time you didn't.
That's a conspiracy theory. I don't know. Isaiah should try it and report back.
Yep. eBay has a new feature in the app called Feed, so you can see new things from your saved sellers. I have noticed that because I have a few saved sellers myself.
Yeah, and I know Don in the group, he has me saved as a seller, and he'll post from time to time where it says Tech and Sports has listed 250 new items. Go check it out, and it's a direct link to the store. So the more people that save you as a seller, it's only beneficial. And in order to get them to save you as a seller, is they have to be very happy with the item that they got from you. And if you could have people that are repeat buyers or people that buy more than one item, it's guaranteed money on a daily basis. So it would be very difficult for me to have a 0 day, because I always have people who know I finish listing at 4 o'clock and then go shopping. So there was a guy today, he's from Texas. He probably bought 20 or 30 items from 4 to 5 o'clock today, because he knows I finish at 4 and it's time to go shopping. So he only buys those items because he knows that he's shopped with me for years, and he knows the item that I present is the item that he's going to get. I'm not going to pull a switcheroo. Everything is going to be shipped on time. It's going to be as advertised. He's going to be happy with the items. He could go and resell them, whatever he wants to do. But he knows that I'm, a reputable seller, and that he can count on me for a quality product.
What do you suggest people do when they're trying to learn how traffic works? Obviously, when you go out and you look for items, you look at the sold listings, but then, we're talking about managing traffic. Is that more advanced? You just learn it when your store gets bigger?
As your store grows, whatever direction your store takes, sometimes traffic is outside of your control. You just get what you get because that's what your store has morphed into, and that's what your store is. If you had 500 pieces of CC Filson, your conversion rate would be 100%. Mm-hmm. But show me that store. That store is not possible to do. But I think as your store grows, the traffic that you get is the traffic that you get based on the brands that you buy, based on the popularity of those brands, and then based on all these other metrics that we talked about earlier. So for you, like, the only way that you've increased your traffic was kind of like a cheat code of just listing thousands and thousands of pairs of shorts, which there's nothing wrong with that. But one day you're going to run out of items that are highly desired in this season. So like if you listed thousands and thousands of pairs of shorts in December, your traffic would decrease. But you're on trend. You listed them at this time for a reason. Your traffic has gone up. Your conversion rate has gone up. So I don't know if that was by design or just happened the way that it happened. But It's very difficult to always list on trend items because that means you have items sitting in a death pile or in a queue for 9 months not making money, but you have to pay to store them.
Well, Cheryl had asked what's a good sell-through rate for clothing, and I think this is a good segue because you and I both have what I call like an index fund store. There's no way really Nike, Adidas, Tommy Bahama, shorts, button-down shirts, hats, jackets, sweaters, all those categories can't be down on the same day.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Maybe Tommy Bahama said something in the news and no one buys this stuff.
Right.
You're still going to sell a Nike shirt.
Right.
Yep.
Or jackets don't sell in the summer, but they still do sell. But if you want to look at it at an index fund, jackets are in the red this month. But come December, jackets are going to be in the green.
That's right.
And my Tommy Bahama Hawaiian shirts, those are going to be trending down. But just like an index fund, at the end of the day, you're looking for a % return. And what I'm looking for is my store to turn over 3 to 4 times per year. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking to turn my entire inventory in that amount of time. So
some people have been asking why, like, as the store grows, we could choose to put our money in stocks instead of eBay. And this is the reason why I am choosing to put most of my money back in the eBay, because you can purchase the stock at a discount. You can't buy Tesla stock for 90% off.
Right.
But you can do that with a used item. And I'm still in the point where turning $1 into 5 or turning $1 into 10 or turning $1 into 15 is so mind-blowing. Those returns are insane. So I just feel like when you look at it, I'm betting that the total value of my store is going to generate a profit. If there's a few items here or there that don't make a profit, they'll be compensated for by items that make an unusually high amount of profit. It'll all even out.
Totally. So I don't do the stock market because I'm a big chicken, and that's just being honest. But I know the items that I buy are pretty much guaranteed to be a profitable return, because I buy them for $4, and like even if I had to take it off of eBay and go sell it at the flea market for $5, that's still a 20% return. And like there's nowhere on the face of the earth where you can get a 20% return literally tomorrow. If I took a Tommy Bahama shirt to the flea market that I bought today for $4, 1,000% I can sell it at the flea market tomorrow for $5. I can't invest in any stock that can guarantee me that.
No. Not to say that there's not, a place for. Also, I think, or what I mean is you can look at the solds before you buy the item.
Yeah.
And with the stock market, you can't look at what it's going to sell for before you buy the stock.
That would be beautiful, man. But in this day and age, it is possible to never lose money on an item that you buy for eBay.
It's possible.
Because you could look up every single item before you buy it, whether to know it's a good buy or a bad buy. It is literally possible to never lose money on a buy on eBay because you have all the data on your phone before you make the buy or before you pass. It's mind-blowing. And this is the same business that you can start low cost, no cost.
I know.
I have really upside down bins, and the table that I use to take pictures of hats I found in the trash. Low cost, no barrier to entry. And every single item you buy, you get to research and forecast what it's going to sell for. If the margin is too tight, don't buy it. This is a beautiful business, and this is why I do it every single day still. It's like printing money.
In 20 years from now, when you're in Forbes magazine, I think it's going to be pretty awesome that CVS magazine, a guy that works at CVS makes millions of dollars with upside down plastic bins.
Yeah.
And a table that he got out of the trash. That's a really good story. So I'm glad that everyone in the group knows you now, that you're still because you're still going up. You're not done.
No, but that's also on the flip side, a lot of disappointment when people come to the convention and see my setup of upside down bins and a table from the trash can. That's literally all it is. And that's why that's doing eBay the easy way. There's no elaborate setup. There's no software. Everything is hardware. Everything is hardwired. Everything has a redundancy.
Yeah.
Everything, there's nothing fancy in this operation. You used to have a lot of fancy stuff in your operation. You got nothing fancy anymore. And
No.
every single day, you meet your listing goal. You never text and go, you know what, man? Today I blew it. I didn't reach my listing goal because you eliminated all the fancy stuff, man.
Well, this is the part. Okay, like for some reason I keep thinking of Darcy because we're gonna come out to Texas. We're gonna have some Whataburger. But this is what we would do. We would order breakfast. Everyone would come. You would eat breakfast. Then you'd have all your items ready to photograph. Everyone would photograph their items at the same time, and we would walk around and make sure that you're taking the pictures in the right order and the right way. That's it. So we would slap you if you took out your phone to check Instagram because that's not what we're doing. The first half of the day, we would take pictures. Then we would go to Whataburger. Then we would sit down at our computers and list. That's it. And no one will have ever listed that many items in their entire life. No one has listed 50 items in a day. And you would list 50 items on your first day at this event.
It's true, man. The two people that work for me have never purchased an item on eBay, never listed an item on eBay. And day one, they both listed 100 items each. Why? Because it's a very, very simple process. The simplest portion of the process that we never talk about, aside from the photos, aside from all of that, the simplest and the easiest part of my process is all of the listings are already built. So that's why someone on day one can list 100 items because all the listings are already built for them.
Meaning to sell similar listings.
Yep.
Yeah.
All they have to do is change the color, maybe change the size, upload photos. And you don't have to know anything about eBay to change this red shirt to a gray shirt. Upload photos and click submit. That's why we could do listings in 23 seconds.
Well, even if you don't have those built, I'm pretty confident that someone could come to our event the first day and have never used eBay before and list 25 items their first day. Because we would just say, take these photos. Okay, we're going to sit on our computer. You don't have a listing built yet, but this is a black sweater. Look for a black sweater that's similar. Sell similar. We'll come up with a blurb for your store. Use that same blurb and template for every single one of your listings. Swap out the photos.
And then
go ahead.
And then next they list another sweater, right?
Yep.
It's a different brand, but it doesn't matter. The listing is already built. Mm-hmm. You're selling similar off category. And the first sweater, it took them 5 minutes to make the listing. That second sweater, since you're selling similar off of an already perfect item, now takes 1 minute. You don't need 1,000 listings, 10,000 listings.
Nope.
But this is why it's super important to niche down and not have 10,000 categories that you sell in. If you have 5 categories that you sell in, you only need 5 listings on eBay to build perfectly, and you can sell similar off of those 5, and you could do listings in under 1 minute.
Yeah, I agree. You just, because we've done it together on the call before, I've never listed something in a category, and the second time I list an item, you're kind of half an expert already. Because you literally just did that same thing, but now you maybe look up that brand to see if it's more valuable or not, but that's pretty much it.
Sure. If you spend the initial time, and this goes back to everything that we talk about, if you do things the right way the first time and spend the time to do it the right way the first time, that's going to save you time every single time you have to redo that process. So if you build the most perfect listing that you can the first time in that category, it gives you the ability to sell similar off of an already perfect item. You don't need to sell similar off of somebody else's listing, fix their mistakes, and make it perfect for yourself. If you spend the time to make a perfect listing in every category that you sell in, just one, that's going to save you so much time down the line because it gives you the ability to sell similar off of your already perfect listing. And your listing perfection is going to be different from somebody else's listing perfection. But if you spend that initial time and make those listings that are very strong, every single time you get a like item in that category, because you're selling similar off of category, that's only going to speed up your process.
That's right. You know, and you learn little things along the way. Like, for example, I didn't know that Brooks Brothers 346 means outlet. I didn't know that. So as you specify whatever category that you're in, you'll pick up different keywords and you'll figure out, oh, these are from the outlet. There's a different quality. Oh, these ones people search by. Like when I posted that dress shirt, I got probably 300 different comments of things I did not know. There are men that search by collar size only. There are men that search by sleeve length only. There's people who search by armpit. There's people who search by length. There's people who search by color, by pattern. There's a million different ways that people search for shirts.
Yep. And you have to decide which search is searched most, so that way you can cast the widest net and capture the most searches possible. Because there are people that search by pattern, but I would go out on a limb and say that more people are going to search by size or by collar or by sleeve rather than pattern or color. So you have to build the listing however you see the most shoppers shopping. So we were talking about, should you put beige or should you put brown? You have to figure out or decide if more people are going to search using the color beige or if more people are going to search using the color brown. So how would you do that? You can go into the category and search beige shorts, see how many are listed, see how many sell. You can search brown shorts, see how many are listed, see how many sell. See the conversion rate between the two. Maybe one has a lot listed and sells a lot, but you got to do the math and see what percent sells better. You can go on TRP. There's a lot of tools that eBay gives you to give you the opportunity to build a listing that is going to capture the most search result on the initial search bar, and especially in the item specific search. Because if I pick brown, you click beige, my listing is invisible for you for the rest of your life. If you put beige and they click brown, you'll never make the sale.
I have to make a really obvious observation right now, because now is the season for a bunch of reseller events. I've been to eBay Open 4 times now. Not one time have they listed an item in front of a seller to show them how to do it. Not one time. There's hundreds of little meetings where they talk about theory and this and that and a million other things that don't matter. If they literally just had an auditorium and you went there and they showed you how to list an item 5 times in a row, that would be more useful than the thousands of dollars it costs to go to that event. They just don't. The part that matters the most, they don't do. That's crazy to me that I wasted all that time not focused on they talk about the 80-20 rule. Becoming good at listing is 99% of eBay. If you're an expert lister, like you list and you're so good at it that you can do it in 23 seconds, you're going to make a ton of money on eBay. You're going to have no problem because you're not going to want to waste that skill.
I'm with you 100%, man. And once you become an expert lister, you enjoy listing.
Yeah.
Like 7 months ago, you didn't like listing, but now you enjoy listing and you have no problem listing every single day because you know what you're doing. You know every aspect of the listing form that is important and needs to be filled out. And it's much better when you list a quality item and that quality item sells than to list an item with a bad listing and it sits forever. So you've become so much more better at listing that you're going back through your store, fixing old listings that were no good, and now those listings are selling. Like, that's how important it is to be an expert at listing.
And in the chat, somebody had asked if, because I mentioned that when you told me that you knew where the mouse is supposed to be and they wanted to see where the mouse is supposed to be, that's not the point.
No.
The point is that I recognized that's how good you are at eBay, that you know where everything is on the screen and you could draw out the eBay listing without even looking at it because you've done it so many times.
Right.
Now, it occurred to me that I was not an expert. Right. Once you said that, and I'm like, I don't know where any of the things are on. I mean, I kind of know, but I don't know where my mouse is. That's like very specific.
It is, but all of that stuff saves you a lot of time and allows you to list more items. So if it takes you 2 hours to list 10 items, it's fine, no problem. But once you become better at listing, once you become better at your niche, once you become better at research, once you become better at price buckets, now your listing gets done in an hour and 45 minutes. Then it gets done in an hour and a half. Then it gets done in an hour and 15 minutes. So you can either be done for the day and go do something else, or you can list more items in the same amount of time. And listing more quality items in the same amount of time is a hell of a pay raise.
It is a crazy pay raise.
Because it's the same amount of time.
It's a life raise. It's insane because, you know, one of the things I noticed when I first started eBay is I lost all my hobbies. The reason why I lost all my hobbies is because I was so inefficient.
Yeah.
When you have a 9 to 5, they already figured out how to optimize you so that you bring more revenue to the company than you cost.
Totally.
When you work for yourself, you haven't figured out that optimization yet. So you're just spending the whole day. It would be the equivalent if you go to a 9 to 5 and they say, we don't have a plan for you. Just do this thing. And it would take you all day because you don't know how to do it.
Right. And that's not profitable for the company, and the company is going to give you a boot. So you have to figure out inside of your company, are you yourself profitable? If you did a P&L on how much time you waste doing a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter, what side do you fall on the P&L?
Isaiah said that he had to fire himself.
Yeah, he had to fire himself because he said he was a horrible manager inside of his eBay business. So he's been talking to his mom. They got a game plan together.
Yeah.
Today was the first day the first day Isaiah was not the manager of his company, and he finished at 125 today.
When his mom told him what to do. Imagine that.
Right.
Wow.
His mom told him what to do, and that's the same thing that we've been telling Isaiah to do. But
I know.
He want to listen to his mom. I'm happy he listened. I'm happy he's done at 125. But even you say you're a better worker than an owner.
Yeah, that's a number one skill. I think. Do you think people dislike it because they don't understand it?
I think in a weird way, I had to tell you what to do, and you did it, and your store became better.
I think that's true. I think. Well, I came to the conclusion that I'm a much better employee than entrepreneur.
Yeah.
After I met you.
There's nothing wrong with that, man.
But that's the truth. Yeah, because when you're the entrepreneur, you have to create all of this. You have to create everything.
It's very difficult, man. It's very difficult to create all of the systems that we need to do on a daily basis. Ship, source, photograph, list, customer service, all of bookkeeping, accounting, all of that stuff is super complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, like for Isaiah, he just needed to be written down on a schedule and something that he can stick to and he can follow. Isaiah's mom reduced his listings from 45 to 25 per day because she asked him, do you want to be a 45 a day guy sometimes or a 25 a day guy every day?
Yeah.
And he made the proper decision. I need to be a 25 a day guy every day at this stage in the game. And there's nothing wrong with that because he will be way more successful as a 25 a day guy every day than a 45 a day guy some of the time.
I mean, when you work a job, they set up your job so it's a 9 to 5, 5 days a week. They don't say they give you parameters.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have a certain quota. Go ahead.
And that goes to what we were talking about in the very beginning. If you don't have parameters and quotas, what are you doing? You have no plan. You have nothing to reach. You have no business. Mm-hmm. You have no business. If you don't have a set amount of stuff that you need to get done every single day, you have no business. You're just doing this. And if you're just doing this, that's different than having a business and running this as a business. If you don't know how many listings you're going to do tomorrow, you're just doing eBay. If you don't know how many items you need to source tomorrow, you're just doing eBay. So you source every Wednesday. Yep. You know how many items you need per week. Mm-hmm. And if you don't find them on Wednesday, you got to go to the flea market. You got to talk to some other people. Some way, somehow, you need to find X amount of items to get you through the week. If you don't know your number, you source on Wednesday and you feel like you killed it. And then come next Monday, you're out of inventory and you're out of business.
I think that's why, people in the group have been talking about unsubscribing from other channels and other ideas. And you mentioned it's because we're more business oriented, because people who are just doing this are in a different category. If when you go rock climbing, there's no number, or you go for a walk outside, there's no number, because it's not your occupation. It truly is just something you do for fun.
Right.
But in this group is more focused on people who are trying to build freedom, trying to create some options for themselves, maybe quit their 9 to 5. That's not in the same category as doing it for a hobby.
Right. And those are the people that we are talking to. We're not talking to the people that just kind of just do this for fun whenever they get around to it. That's a different set of advice. If you're the person that just does it for fun, or doesn't do this to rely for income, doesn't do this to build a business, the advice that I'm going to give you is going to be totally different. But if you want to build this business, the advice is the advice that we talk about here. The advice is not going to be the same for a casual eBay seller. Casual eBay seller could do whatever they want to do. They shouldn't have to feel that they have to set a quota, that they have to do this, that they have to do that. We're not talking to those people 99% of the time.
And I think that's the difference between a conference and a workshop. If you go to a conference to meet people, that's one thing. When you go to a workshop, you go there to learn a specific thing. So if you guys came to the Tech and Sports listing workshop, you would get there and it would be about listing, and you would list there. And then you would just learn and go home. That's exactly the point of it.
Totally.
We can still have lunch after and walk on the beach, but the point of the workshop will be to get that task done and learn how to do it.
Yeah. Otherwise, me personally, I don't want any part in that workshop if we're just going to go there and yuck it up, because it's not a good use of everybody's time.
I agree.
And things for us to take advantage of. Inside of the group, I try to provide a quality answer for every single answer that I give. And I reply to every single post that is in the group, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help you to grow the business. We're not here to be friends and sing kumbaya. That's not what we're here for. That is a disservice of us, because we're here to try to grow the business. And everybody that has joined the group has grown their business. And that is the pride that I take in this group, is that everybody is more successful. Everybody is getting more done. Everybody is streamlining their processes. Everybody, by doing that, has a better quality of life and has more free time, because they've built the business around the life that they want to live.
Isaiah's mom says that the 45 listings a day guy has a different calendar than 25 listing a day guy. Your calendar is basically what I copied. I was looking at your calendar and I'm like, how come we have the same 24 hours a day and you're doing 250 listings a day? Your calendar must look different. You must be doing something different during the day. You must be walking into the warehouse the same time of the day. There must be, and everything has to look a certain way. You can look at the calendar and you can tell people what they do all day.
Right. Totally. And that's why the order of the operation matters. And if you do things out of sequence, that can take longer and that can throw off your day. Like when we first started talking, you were a ship at 4:00 every day guy. And that's the most dangerous thing in the world to do, because shipping can go sideways. And if your shipping goes sideways, you're screwed. But if you ship in the morning and it goes sideways, you have the rest of the day to figure it out. If your listing goes sideways and if it's done later on in the day, you still have time to get it done, because there's no hard close for when your listings need to be up. But there's a hard close for when your items need to go to the post office. And when you wait till the very last minute, because maybe you didn't get all of your stuff done in a certain amount of time throughout the day, and now you're crunched to ship out all of your items, that's beyond stressful, man. And you can only be late a couple times before you fall below standard, and you almost are out of business at that point. So the order on which process you do at what time of the day is going to be paramount to your success ultimately at the end of the day.
I got a really good nugget now. So Darcy's in the group. She wants to do 42 listings a day. She wants to be the 42 listing lady.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes your identity, and it is huge. So for when I was the 4 o'clock shipping guy, I would get to the post office at 5:59 because our post office here closes at 6. And I was that guy, the last person into the post office where they got to roll their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm causing them to be late for dinner. I'm that guy, right?
Yep.
And then, but if you're the guy that arrives at noon, then I've seen that because there's much larger sellers than me that go to the post office. When the big sellers come, everyone stops what they're doing and they help that person because that person's paying the most. Mm-hmm. So it's like whatever your identity is, when you're a 42 listing a day person, everyone in your family takes you seriously because you probably have a very organized schedule. You can't accidentally list 42 items a day. That's impossible.
But also, if you listen to Darcy over the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks that she's done 42 per day, the conversations that she starts now are totally different. She's every single question that she asks, she's trying to better understand the search algorithm because now listing is more serious to her inside of her business when before maybe she wasn't as consistent. So when you're not as consistent, the quality of the listing, it kind of goes hand in hand. But when you're listing every single day, it's of the utmost importance that you want to make the most quality listing because you're putting in the time every single day and you become a serious lister.
Yeah, because becoming a serious lister is an identity change.
Right.
You become a different person because you start thinking about all the mechanics of how the listing works. You know, when we say list 5 a day, we mean go through every single field, be as accurate as possible. That's what you mean by quality listing. You mean accurate.
Correct.
And to learn how to be accurate, you have to be precise with every single field. That's why I recommend leaving it blank and not putting in NA because I feel like NA is not accurate.
Right.
I don't know.
And that's why now you're going back and cleaning up a lot of messes because you have shirts, t-shirts that may have got listed in the polo shirt category.
That's right.
And that t-shirt will never sell.
Yep.
Or you have items that say size large, but in the item specific, it's size extra small. And the buyer who's looking for a large but sees an extra small will never buy that item. And that's because before, even you weren't as serious about building a quality listing. Maybe it got outsourced. Maybe it got made an error for a different reason. But now your number one most important task of the day is going through all of the drafts and making sure that they're a quality listing before you hit the blue button. And now that you're doing that, you're making a lot more sales because the item can actually be found in the search algorithm. If it cannot be found, it cannot be sold. It's very easy. That's another easy part of eBay. If your item cannot be found in the algorithm, it cannot be sold. So now for you, one day you will have 22,000 items that all have quality listings. And tell me what your business looks like at that point.
Somebody who's really good at listing and really accurate listings, the result of that is insane. I'm not even there yet.
Not even fully optimized
No,
yet.
I'm not. When you're fully optimized, it's scary. It's
Right.
really insane. And it's like when I asked my YouTube channel to look at the defects, it's going to take me a week to just read the messages. It's so many. There's so many problems with my store. So when you look at, it's important to be transparent with yourself. If you built an entire store on a crappy foundation, it's okay. Just go back and fix it. Don't just keep growing.
But that's a lot of work. You know it. You're doing the work every single day. You're working 2 jobs. Imagine once all of your listings are fixed, how much more free time you're going to have then.
That's going to be insane.
Yeah, you think you have a lot of time now. You're going to have so much because you probably spend a couple hours per day going back and fixing old work that you've already spent the time to do the first time. And going back and redoing work is a massive time suck. So as your store grows, if you can still maintain a healthy sell-through, that's the most important. And that's why I like to think of my store as 33 1,000 item stores, because I still have a healthy sell-through. I'm almost 1% daily.
Yep.
I'm like 27, 28% sell-through, which in the clothing category with a large store is practically unheard of. And it's only because the listings that go up are quality listings. We all know huge stores that have 100 more employees than I do that sell just about the same amount of items. Why? Because they don't have quality listings.
Well, this is something I want to bring up. A lot of people think, this is my problem, I think I don't have time to fill out all the item specifics correctly because I can just get up another listing. That was my thinking. I'll list 2 items instead of 1, and I won't be as accurate. Here's the problem with that thinking is that item may never sell. So that entire effort that you use to list that item incorrectly is wasted. And that's a lot more time than just doing it right the first time. When I heard Robert Rodriguez say when he was filming El Mariachi, he didn't have enough money to do any retakes. So he had to do it right the first time. I'm thinking none of us have enough time to do listings the wrong way. No one in this group has time to do listings the wrong way. None of you have time.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're going to live to 200 years old, you'll never reach your goals listing a whole bunch of items incomplete.
And on the flip side, at the end of the day, whenever you talk about time, time is always money. So if you don't have time to fill out all the item specifics, I hope you have money to store that item for eternity. And where you live, storage costs a lot of money, and you pay a lot of money to store stuff that are never going to get sold until you went back through and fixed the listing. So either you have time to do a quality listing and get that inventory turning, or you better have a lot of money to pay to store those items.
So I want to, my final thought is from Aaron's thought, where he's talking about he wants to inject money into his eBay business and grow fast. So I'll tell you this, if you actually follow Tech's advice, you won't be able to keep up with the speed because it's so fast to do it that way that I'm actually I feel like I'm trying to slow down and my store tripled. Because it's just so much faster to cut out all the steps. If you just take the time to list items, like photograph the items the best that you can, fill out every item specific the best that you can, put everything away, in less than 1 year, you will have a 6-figure income from reselling. That's very fast without going crazy. You don't need to inject a lot of money into it. You don't need to start buying pallets. You don't need to do any of that. You can start one item at a time. And if you learn it and skip what I did the last 4 years and just start where I'm at right now, it'll be faster than you. I can't even keep up. I could probably, if I really pushed it, maybe I could do 300 listings a day. I have to say no. I have to make sure that I'm doing it right. And I even texted Tech, the difference for me between 171 listings a day and 200 listings a day is totally different because 29 more listings is the maximum of my space. It's like, I just based that off of Tech's thought of each person you add is 100 new listings a day. So I'm like, okay, great. But it's just, you don't need to go fast because if you do it quick, if you do it your way, it is fast. It's really hard to explain.
Totally. And it's hard to explain and it's hard to grasp, but the way that we talk about doing, the less you do, the more you get done. There's people that, I've been working with going on 2 years now who have subscribed to the method. And Christy in the group used to be at $1,500, I think, a month. And now she's at $35,000 per month in less than 2 years because she's doing everything the easiest way. There's no shenanigans. There's not a lot of stuff that's going on. And if that's not fast enough for you, the people that I have seen throw a bunch of money into eBay ultimately fail at the end of the day. I've never seen that model work where you throw a bunch of money into it and it becomes successful. I've never seen that on the eBay. I've seen that on Amazon. I've never seen that with eBay. And a large part of that goes back for what we were talking about is you have to fight the algorithm. And no matter how much money you throw at it, eBay is going to give you the amount of sales that it feels that you can fulfill per day.
One listing a week, then 2 listings a day for a week, then 3 listings a day for a week over the course of a year is now 52 listings a week. I mean, a day, every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even keep up with it. It's insanely difficult.
If you want to throw a lot of money at a business, Amazon is the better platform because they have the sales rank and you can calculate when your money is going to come back. You cannot calculate when your money is going to come back selling pre-owned clothes on eBay. But if you really want to explode it, it's very simple. The chart that you made, just do 2 times that, 3 times that, 4 times that, 5 times that, and you will have 3, 4, and 5 times the result of that chart. It's totally linear.
I put the chart in the group. You guys can customize it to whatever your goals are. And just remember, it is linear.
Right.
eBay is not exponential. You can't have a 100% sell-through day. But whatever your 100 item store is, your 1,000 item store will be 10 times that.
Right. And it is linear because you talked about it in the morning call. The reseller Nirvana calculator, the guy this morning said he put in his numbers and it's exactly right.
You are in the nice thing about this group is that you are already at reseller Nirvana. And I think it'll take me a year and a half to get to the same situation. So you guys can see the different stages. If you're just starting, you're going to be in growth mode in the beginning. It's going to be a little rough because you got to reinvest that money back in. But when you reach reseller Nirvana, whatever your number is, when Darcy is selling 42 and listing 42, then she can have a party because there's profit to put somewhere else.
There's still profit in growth mode if you do it smart, if you do it properly, if you do it slow. But when you're at resale Nirvana of listing 42 and selling 42, you're making a boatload of money at that point. And it may not be a bad idea to do one of the plateaus that we talked about for a little bit of time. Make a couple bucks, throw a couple bucks in the bank, maybe diversify into other investments like real estate or something else that you want to try. And then next time you're ready for grow mode, you do have that money in the bank that you can reinvest into the business and then start growing once again. So for right now, I'm at a plateau. This might be a lifetime plateau. This might be a plateau until I wake up tomorrow morning and feel like it's not a plateau. But, you know, right now I'm in a pretty good spot with 250 items of inventory being purchased every day for $4 each, and then 250 items selling every day with an average sale price, you know, around $25. So right now I'm in a beautiful position. It didn't happen overnight, did not happen by accident, did not happen, you know, easily. It took a good amount of work every step of the way, but I will tell you that the work that I put into it is definitely worth the payout every step of the way, because eBay gives you the tools that can show you at what level you are and what money you're making at the time, and you can calculate it out and see where you need to be for where you want to be.
I think one more differentiation between being just a hobby seller and a business owner is when you think of yourself as a 46 item a day person and you're thinking, okay, I'm 42 items a day. That's a 200. What is that? That's 30 a day on average, or 7 days a week is what that number is. When you think that way, everything is different because you're a store. Stores think about what comes in and what goes out. And I think that mentality, as soon as you commit to that, then you're now working at your own store. And that's way easier. It's much easier to work for your own store than be a reseller and you don't know what your schedule is.
Totally, man. If you don't have a schedule, if you don't have a quota, if you don't have any of that data, you don't have a business. You most likely have a hobby, and hobbies by definition lose money.
And I love that Darcy was talking about changing her photography setup, and people in the group told her, You can't do that if it messes up your 42 a day listing habit.
Nope, cannot do it.
So
And that you were the king of doing that. That's why you were never able to have a listing habit. But you made a commitment to me and said you're not going to change anything for a year. And so far, go out on a limb, this has been the best year of your business because you haven't changed anything and redone a whole bunch of different things.
I do want to say that I did change the order. I think very early this year, I changed from describing, then photographing after, the photographing first, then listing after. That 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 was the same number of steps, but the order makes a tremendous difference.
But that's a positive change. You didn't break down your whole shipping station and say the tape needs to be over here. This needs to, that's a bad change. But you know, if you eliminate anything to make your steps better, that's a positive change. If you do anything to better the business, that's a positive change. But to redo a bunch of stuff while you're doing good, that's probably not the best time to do it.
I want everyone to think about now in the chat, maybe put in the chat before we take off tonight, something that you can remove, because I think that really helped me. You can't add something into your eBay business and then make more money usually. You've got to reduce something out of it so that you have more time to get more productivity in there. So that might be, making sure that you steam all your items at once if you decide to steam items, or you prep all your items at once instead of interrupting one task to finish the other task. So whatever you can do to reduce the number of steps, that's how you do it. You reduce to increase. And I think for me, I was always trying to optimize, because we had John in the group with the camera on the oscillating arm and then all these programs on his computer, and he was taking 5 photographs per day. He was crippled by all this crazy stuff that's supposed to take a perfect picture. And then now he just said, it really doesn't matter as long as the picture is well lit.
I agree 100%. And that's what we talk about all the time. And people, it's hard to understand that by eliminating stuff, it's better off for you and your business. So we talk about niching down. A lot of people have a hard time really grasping the concept because they always remember that one VCR that they made $400 profit on. But like everyone conveniently forgets like the 4 other VCRs that they lost money on. So like net, you're like negative on VCRs. So why are we still messing around with VCRs? Why are we still messing around with stuff that is outside of our niche? If you really want to take your business and do the best that you can, you need to narrow down on the niche. You need to narrow down on your steps. You need to narrow down on your processes. And by doing that, you eliminate so many other things. You don't need all this extra space because you need multiple setups for different photography. You don't need to do a bunch of different research all the time because you're selling very similar items every single day. You don't need to package a bunch of crazy different things. You only need to package one kind of item. There's a million things that get easier, but you have to make your life easier. And by making your life easier, you need to cut off all the distractions that are preventing you from doing eBay the easy way. A distraction outside of your niche, a distraction, people bothering you and not taking your business seriously because you don't take your business seriously, because every time they look at you, you're on Instagram. Every time they look at you, you're watching the Today Show. How do you expect someone to take you seriously when you're not serious inside of your business? Why are you not serious inside of your business? You don't have a schedule. You don't have a set number of items that you need to do per day. If you get serious, the people around you will be serious. But if you're a fool, everyone around you is going to treat you like a fool. So if you can eliminate all this stuff that is preventing you from being great, you too can have a business that you could build around the life that you want to live. I've built the business that I want. Chris is building the business that he wants. He's home for his kid every single day. There is no reason Chris has a bigger store making $7,000 more per week with a newborn, and he's home every day. Everyone told you that wouldn't happen.
I know it's been insane. And Aaron is saying that we both live in areas where we can pick our niche. Well, Matt in the group lives in the boonies of South Carolina, in the middle, literally in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours from anywhere. He decided he was only going to sell jeans. He sat in front of Google and called jean wholesalers all day, and in one day found a supplier for jeans. So you can repeat that process for whatever your category you are in, wherever you are. I think if I lived in a place that had a cheaper cost of living, I think I could still find good stuff. So I think it just depends on whatever your niche is. You just have to be good at that niche so that things can start coming to you. And that's as straightforward as it gets. If you niche down, you'll figure out where things come from.
There's pros and cons to every location. Your pro is you have a bunch of inventory, but your storage is sky high. It's the same for me. I'm limited on storage. It costs a lot of money. If I lived in the middle of nowhere and I had unlimited storage, I could be an eBay billionaire if I had 100,000 square foot warehouse. Like, it's unlimited. I would figure out the channels to get the inventory to come to me. I would hit Instagram and hit every single guy who goes to the bins, and I would hit them up and say, I need this many items per month. I need them delivered. I need them washed. I need them mailed. However we got to do it, because I live in the middle of nowhere. You live where the product is. I have a guarantee I'm going to purchase $20,000 per month from you, $1,000 per month, $5,000, whatever level that you're at. There's a lot of people that like to shop. There's not a lot of people that like to list. So find you someone that knows how to shop, that can supply you inventory. And if you live in the middle of nowhere, have 100,000 square foot building, do what we talk about, and you might be the first eBay billionaire.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by this week. Take any other final thoughts?
If there's a will, there's a way. If you want to do something, reverse engineer it, figure out the steps to how to do it. I started with $35.
I agree. Figure out the destination, and we can help you guys with that. Pick a destination, type it into the GPS, then share it with everybody, and we'll help you get there.
Appreciate you guys. I started with $35. Money is never an excuse. $35. I was a single dad. I raised a kid off of selling stuff on eBay, and I've turned eBay sales into building 10 or 11 other businesses with a bunch of rental property from $35. Anybody in America can do this. It doesn't matter.
I agree. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.